Okay, forensic students, we are going to do the data part of another lab. This one is attached to your assignment. If you are in class or were in class, you might have gotten a hard copy of it. Otherwise, you are using the PDF that was pushed out, and you can either record in Cami or you can reproduce the table, and fill in the table. So this is a more comprehensive lab. The other one we did was just over-the-counter substances. So this is going to build. We're going to look at over-the-counter substances again, this time with 2 unknowns you have to identify instead of just 1. And then we're going to go from over-the-counter material. In a part 2, we will do illegal drug analysis, getting the data for and filling in the description for the tests on the illegal drug analysis. We'll use 2 specific reagents that'll give you test results, and we talk about presumptive tests. We will also then, in that same part 2, test for heavy metals, and those are other types of colorimetric or precipitation tests that tell you whether or not you have a heavy metal in whatever sample that you have. There will be an unknown, and you have to identify which heavy metal it is, and that's where this unknown poison is. And then lastly, we will do chromatography. Most likely, guys, if you are in class, you won't run the chromatography. Everybody will use the video and the demo to analyze the chromatography. A lot of you haven't had it yet in living environment. And some of you haven't had it since you had living environment. So to get you to set up the chambers and to run the chromatography takes a long time. And with the constraints we have on the physicality of the lab space due to COVID, I will run it. I will show it to you. So just be aware of that. So we're going to start off doing the testing and observation for this table. So I've already put my unknowns into the testing plates. Okay, and those testing plates are set up like in your instructions. So you have a separate instruction packet, then we have a separate recording page. So if you look at your instruction packet, which goes over your procedure, the procedure starts on page 11 of your packet. And if you flip over to page 12, it's told you to put and set up your wells as follows. So this well setup is exactly what's in here. This is my aspirin. This is my acetaminophen, which is Tylenol. This is my baking soda or sodium bicarbonate. This is effervescent antacid. These 2 are unknowns. I did not label the plates, but I will do now. Aspirin, acetaminophen, baking soda, effervescent antacid, unknown 1, unknown 2. Okay, so I am going to take a toothpick, different one for each, and I'm going to just spread it around a little. I'm going to zoom in on it so you can write the appearance. I am not going to make observations like in the last lab. You are going to write down what you see. So if you've listened to the video from the last lab, you know what you're looking for and what to describe. I'm going to spread this out a little. I know it's very difficult. Yes, they are all white. These are, and I will say, if you look at them, they're all crystalline. But they have different shapes and different degrees of cloudiness or clarity to the crystal. And all I'm doing right now is spreading it out. I'm going to flip over my toothpick, use the other side, and spread this out. These are larger crystals than that. You can actually really see the difference. This is a very fine powder. So the crystals are so fine in that you can't see them individually like these 2. So you are writing your description of appearance right across here. Let's go to the effervescent acid. This is kind of chunky. Okay? It looks like little tiny harder balls of material. And here's unknown 1. It also looks a little chunky. If I hit it just right, it falls out of or pops out of the well. And then unknown 2. change my toothpick here, spread it around for you. I actually have a lot of unknown 2 in the well. I probably should take this out. This well is not very big. Okay, so really to me, look and see, does this look like your effervescent acid? I'm going to flip over here and put unknown 2 next to this plate so it's closer to this other plate. Look at unknown 2 and then look across. Just by appearance, what does it look like? I'm going to refocus again, see if I can get this any better. You're like, oh, you just confused me, Miss Silvestri. After it focuses, this is our unknown 2. I moved the first plate to be beside unknown 2 so you can compare these 3 physical appearance to unknown 2. Okay, and you're writing down what you see. I'm not going to tell you what to write down like I did in the other previous experiment because you were learning how to watch the video and make observations. I am just going to be your hands. You record your observation. Okay, in the next part, I will add water to each of these. I am going to pick the well plate up. You can watch me in the video that the part of the screen that is focused on me. I'm just going to pick it up and add the water directly in, squeezing very gently so I don't spray the material outside of the well. I'm going to fill the well to the top, go to the next well. Fill that to the top, go to the next well. Okay. Now, you can always rewind, move the time period back if you need to re-describe something. You can even see right now that the aspirin, because of the surface tension of the water, it's floating on the top. It's making a coating on the top. Now this one I should probably do underneath, so I'm going to do this one underneath because if you notice I add the water and it bubbles, that is your effervescent acid. None of the others bubbled. I'm going to do this one. Well, that one's bubbling. Interesting. So unknown 1 bubbled. I'm going to lift this up just a little to try to get all 6 wells in your view. Kind of hard, but you can sort of see that. I will move again and put unknown 2 next to on the other side because this is very far from these 3. This one bubbled, that one bubbled. So far right now, you can make a decision what they're operating as. Notice everything is dissolved. There's nothing cloudy. I'm going to stir the other ones. Keep in mind, like I said, I actually put an awful lot of the unknown in the unknown 2's thing. And it just keeps popping up to the top and floating on the top. For the baking soda, it does not do that. Remember, this is acetaminophen. And this is aspirin. Ooh, chunky, clumping together, not very soluble. Oh, get back in there. Okay. I'm now going, because according to the instructions, if we look at, we have done step 6, where it says add 4 to 5 drops of distilled water into each well and observe for any visual signs of reaction. What is the reaction? Was it change of color, formation of gas? Record your observations. You can also record what you think the solubility is. It's a relative type of measurement because I put so much of the material in here and so much of the material in there. See, I put so much it floats up to the top and now came out of the well. I'm glad it didn't go to either other well, because then I wouldn't be able to do the next step. And the next step is, and I'm going to get a toothpick and try by capillary action to get this back into the well. Look at that. It's working. It has to do with a lot of intermolecular forces with the water and the fact that that unknown number 2 does not like to dissolve. I am going to add now our universal indicator. Oh, where is my thingy? Hold on. Here is our reference. So now on your data table, we are now where it says pH. This up. You should now be filling in this as I do this experiment. I will take a drop of our universal indicator, which you used in the other experiment. I'm going to add a drop in, and you see the color, and then that'll register the pH. Now these are new plates, meaning they haven't been used, so there shouldn't be anything that's cross-contaminating in them. I just find these pH to be very interesting. It's not exactly what I expected for some of the control drugs, but we will record them. So record the color of the indicator and then also the pH as we match that up. I'm going to move this over because you may not be on the screen. Right, so that's looking in this area. You could go in between and say it's 7.5 or 8 or 8.5 if you think the colors in between these two or in between that. Okay, record your color, record your pH, both. I want to see them both. All right. Now we are on to step 9. We are going to take, let me make sure this is the right reagent, hydrochloric acid. We're going to add 1 to 2 drops into each well, and then we're going to record what happens. That just balls off to the side. Ooh, that bubbles, in case you can't see it. No, you might say it's really difficult to tell because it's a white background with the well plate. I'm going to see if I can pull these up a little bit closer so you can have a little bit more. I'm going to stir this. There's no bubbling. I'm flipping over my toothpick. Remember when we first added the acid, that bubbled. Here's the next plate. As I mix it, it still bubbles. So this is still bubbling. This is still bubbling. Okay, it just makes a pasty goo. As you guys can tell, I am at school. You will hear the bells ring. It's going to ring again. All right, last part. record this. This goes into the well that says reaction, or the row that says reaction with HCl. And then we're going to have our final reaction. I had some extra there so you can go back and look at observations of what it looks like unaltered, unreacted. So here is our simulated ferric nitrate. And again, adding 1 to 2 drops. Ooh, that changes color. Record what you see. Not as much. Ooh, bubbling. Now this is still like an orange color, so I'm not sure I'd say that's color change, but you definitely got some reaction going on. Oh, color change. Notice the difference between the solution and the well. Ooh, color change. Notice the difference between the solution and the well. Ooh, that just turns that dark blobby color. That's actually, I will tell you, is a dark, deep purple. I'm going to stir it a little. And then I'll go back to the acetaminophen and the aspirin and stir it. See, I don't know if you can see that color there. That is a deep purple. Deep purple. I flipped over my little toothpick. Again, very similar, but let's see what my acetaminophen does. Oh, see, it's not, even though the solution is colored, it's really not turning this color once I stir it. Okay. Now, I'm just going to go back and put directly into this I'm going to put a little bit of water, just a tiny bit in each well, not a lot, and then I'm going to I can get my water going at a steady stream here. It's really hard when you're up above, but this is how you should add it. You should never have the tip of your water bottle in the material. The reason why I'm adding some extra water, guys, is that I'm not going to stir it with a toothpick. I'm going to add in the universal indicator again, just to retest the pH to make sure these are all correct. There could be something in the well, there could have been something on the toothpick. One of them's not making sense to me. And there we go. That makes more sense to me. And if you're following along, you might be going, yeah, this specialty didn't make much sense for me either. Okay, so I really think up above there was a contaminant in the well. There shouldn't have been, because like I said, these are new. I just took them out of the package. No, I didn't wash them. I didn't want the base of the soap getting into the wells. So here we go again. If you notice, this one's different. So does it make sense that it's different from up above? See, if I lower this down, it looked like that the first time we did it. Now it looks like this. I think there was something on the toothpick that I picked up. Either it was something on my hands when I held the toothpick and then put it in there, because this does not, these two are now similar in color, similar in color, similar in action. This was throwing us up. So I would go back and fix your pH. I don't think that's correct. Okay. There we go. We are done with this first part.